And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Are we live? Let me check. Had some technical issues this morning. I'm 12 minutes into this already. And okay, we're live. All right, cool beans.
Do you see it?
Yep. Yep. I apologize, everyone. You should be good to go here. It's coming.
Okay, I do see on Rumble
Okay. I think I got it going. I think I got everything working here. So it's interesting, the topic that we're talking about, and we're having some technical issues. You think that has anything to do with it? Or maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. Yeah. It's there. I see it. We're live. We're live. We're live everywhere.
Live.
We are live everywhere. And again, I do apologize, everyone. So I think the reason why we might be, I don't know, I'm not speculating here, I'm fishing. It has to be like some kind of reason. I want to talk about the ActBlue. I remember James O'Keefe, he actually did a video where he was going to people who donated to ActBlue and was asking them questions. How much did you donate to ActBlue? And one video I have where he was talking to a lady, she said she donated to ActBlue several times. And he said, was it in like to $18,000? She go, oh, no, not that much. And they have her down because of the public records of donating $18,000. So if she didn't send that money to ActBlue, who did? And it looks like it's one of the biggest money laundering schemes in American history. And I got some stuff I want to share. I was going to have a guest, but I had technical issues with that too. But I'm going to share some of this information that we have about this ActBlue. Now, what do you know about ActBlue? One of the things that's circulating around about ActBlue is that they were getting funded from USAID. With that said, I haven't seen any actual tangible proof that they were getting funded from USAID, but it wouldn't be a surprise. It wouldn't be a huge surprise.
There's call for an investigation.
There's call for an investigation. Yeah, thank you so much. And if they were getting donations from USAID to ActBlue, that would mean U.S. taxpayer dollars were going to ActBlue, and then they were turning around and giving that money to Democrats.
People running for office, which they're not supposed to do.
Which is pretty bad.
It's basically laundering or funneling money.
So it is in bad situation. So, hey, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X American News, Peel.net. If you would, please bless me. Please bless me by hitting the thumbs up, sharing this video. I still think some censorship is happening, but it is what it is. So please share this out. Because a lot of people, they've heard of ActBlue. I'm like, what is this ActBlue? And of course, my producer, being as awesome as she is, she's done a lot of research on this, and she puts it up there and make me look good. That's how it's supposed to work, right, Shannon?
Okay.
If you say so.
Honestly.
Yeah. Well, let me share this first thing that we have here. And of course, with ActBlue, ActBlue facilitates the illegal alien invasion of America. So there's actually been information. And this is stuff, these are posts from X. And I'm assuming, Shannon, you didn't get the part above this, but I'm assuming because it has 29 million views, and this is just posted just yesterday, 29 million views. Elon Musk has something to do with this. He probably shared this at some point. I mean, because 29 million views.
She's a host on with Bannon, so she gets.
That's pretty huge, though. 29 million views.
Yeah, it's a huge story right now.
Yeah, it is really a huge story. Multi-billion-dollar network of far-left NGOs responsible for helping illegal aliens make it into the U.S. and hotlines exposing ICE raids rely on these firms' financial infrastructure. So they were pushing money through U.S. Let me forget about USAID. They were pushing money through ActBlue,
correct,
to make all of this, to facilitate all this stuff. Now, look at this. Here's some more information. We'll make this full screen here so everyone can see this.
Right. So ActBlue is kind of like the face of a whole bunch of fundraising movements, right? And this is their directory. If you put in migrant, you could see some of the money, the networks that they support. And a lot of these, like we said, they funnel money for migrants. These are just a few of the organizations that they helped facilitate the invasion into America. Okay, let me go. Can I go to the next one?
Yeah.
And then here's this one right here. Border Angels. I mean, it sounds like, oh, that's so wonderful, right? Border Angels, Homes Not Borders, Border Servant Corps, Border Workers United, Hope Border Institute, a whole bunch of them. I mean, it's just crazy how massive this organization is. And like you said, Will, Veritas at the time, I think it was, actually exposed ActBlue and how...
No, I think he was already gone from Veritas. Not that it's important. He was still doing the same investigative reporting.
But it's interesting because they used people...
He still investigated this information and brought it out there.
Yeah, they still used people that had donated, that were part of the Democrat Party, and they used their names and their address to funnel the money in. These people really weren't making donations. So where was that money coming from that was being funneled through these people's names and addresses that weren't actually donating? It's a huge scheme, right? It's absolutely huge.
Really
and the fact that nobody investigated it until now, it's really big news right now because Elon Musk is saying that some of the people organized against Tesla, Elon, and such is actually ultimately being funded by ActBlue.
Here's another one that you have. Explain this one too.
This is the
Catholic charities
that
receive money from ActBlue,
right? And they were big in helping with, bringing migrants in and housing them, or I should say illegal, and housing them and such.
So they were doing all of this funneling of money. And you know what? At first I was thinking that ActBlue was a nonprofit organization, but they're for profit. They're not a nonprofit organization. They are for profit.
Yeah. So I was shocked when I went to their website.
But all the NGOs and everything that they're associated with, they're nonprofit.
Correct.
So who was actually funding ActBlue? That's the real question here, right? Who was actually funding it? And we have our suspicions, right? Soros, et cetera, et cetera. But they made it look like the American people, millions of American people, were doing small donations, and that actually wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. Now here's the video. Here's a part of it. Yeah, and he wasn't with Project Veritas when he was doing this. He was doing his own thing. I guess that was his own thing, but nonetheless.
O'Keefe, yeah.
There's no music in there, is there? If there's music in there, okay. I'm not going to play it because I think there's music in here, and I can't afford to get any copyright strikes. But
But that's the video you were talking about.
Yeah, this is the video I was talking about, and he's in this neighborhood, and he's walking around, and he goes to this woman's house, and he's showing that she donated $18,000 to ActBlue, a total of $18,000. So when he gets here, he's talking to this lady, and of course they blurred out her face. Good for them. And he's asking her, did you donate $18,000? Well, she did confirm that she did donate some money, but she said nothing close to $18,000. $18,000. She did not donate $18,000 to ActBlue. And he told this to her and she was like, I'm just completely surprised. Now so how many other people were they doing this with? How many other people that they were pretending are using their name, using their address to send in money to ActBlue? It's like the biggest money laundering scheme ever. And you know what they said? Apparently, there's some people that actually resigned. Now, here's a post that Elon Musk did put out, and I think he was kind of getting to who was actually funding ActBlue, and some of these people I had never even heard of. An investigation has found 5 ActBlue founding groups responsible for Tesla protests, Troublemakers, Disruption Project, Rise and Resist, Indivisible Project, and it's Democrat Socialist of America. I guess they're calling themselves Democratic, but there's nothing democratic about these people. I wish they would be correct on that. ActBlue founders include George Soros, Reid Huffman, Hubbard Sander, Patricia, Bowman, and Leah Hunt Hendricks. So I don't even know who some of these people are, but these people are investing into ActBlue. And they were purposely paying these protesters to go to Tesla facilities and destroy Teslas. I mean, this is wild, people. This is how they take stuff and they destroy nations. Because, George Soros, he's been known to destroy nations before. So they're trying to destroy this country because President Trump is back in the White House and they got to do everything they can to try to prevent President Trump from being successful. Says ActBlue was currently under investigation for the following foreign and illegal donations and criminal violations of campaign financing regulations. This week, 7 ActBlue senior officials resigned, including Associated General Counsel. So they're actually in investigation. So if these people 7 people just boom, oh, I'm done, I'm out of here.
Yeah, come on now.
Let me ask y'all a question, and y'all leave me a comment, because I do look at the comments. I have the comments on my little screen over here. And just y'all leave me a comment. Do you think that these people that were all of a sudden 7 of them, so if 7 of them just this week, you can imagine that there's probably going to be more. And I'm saying, nope, I'm out of here. I got to get out. Should those people be safe? Should they be safe and be like, well, I dropped out. So it should be okay for me to walk away. So I shouldn't be in any trouble. Do y'all think that these people should be held responsible? Or should they be nothing happened to them? Because, they did drop out. Kind of like politicians. When politicians get caught doing the most corrupt thing that they can't get out of, there's no slush fund to pay for them to get out of it. Let me ask y'all a question. Should they be held responsible for everything that they've done? Should they be able to walk free? Right? I see a lot of people say, no, they shouldn't be able to walk free. And thank you so much for leaving me comments. I see you. They shouldn't be able to walk free. And I've been saying this ever since before President Trump got into office the second time, that if he does not arrest these people, they're going to continue to get away with all of the corruption that they've been doing. They're going to continue to get away with it. And it's going to happen even more. I know people going yes and no, yes and no. I guess I was asking a question that was a no question. Then I was asking a question that was a yes question. Nonetheless, I see you in the comments there. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already, please bless me by hitting the thumbs up. I don't stress it enough, but that's one of the best ways y'all can help me out with the algorithm, to help me get through the algorithm, to help me reach more people by you hitting that thumbs up. And I see you, because, I can tell right now some of the platforms, they kicked up the censorship again against Will Johnson. I guess because what President Trump is doing, and maybe because of this ActBlue. I mean, there's a reason why they're doing a lot of this right now.
And let me just show you this, Will. This is on the ActBlue website that I was telling you that I saw, right where it's highlighted in the yellow. It says paid for by ActBlue.
Hold on, let me bring it up here. I don't have my switchboard operator here, so I need to. Yeah. I think we have it here. Does it sit here, the ActBlue? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, and it says paid for by ActBlue and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. It says contributions or gifts to ActBlue are not deductible as a charitable contribution for federal income tax purposes. So apparently there's an ActBlue and then there's an ActBlue Charities. So
there is an ActBlue nonprofit.
There is apparently, there is.
So there's two
charity.
of them. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Because, I'm pretty sure people go, no, well, it is so they actually have some of both. They have
have two different organizations.
They have two different ones.
The particular
but it's still ActBlue.
The one we're talking about is the ActBlue, the one that's funneling the money.
The one that is pushing money to have these people go to these Tesla facilities and even set Teslas on fire. Correct. This is wild. This is crazy. It really is. It really is. So I do have something else I want to share with you. And of course, as I mentioned before, I truly believe. Oh, I got to show this one before it's. Look at this. Look at this. Y'all see this? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Remember during the Summer of Love, during 2020? And remember they were all out in the streets and they were doing chaos all across the country. Y'all remember that, right? You remember that? It's not too far off, right? I mean, I know, granted, we've had a lot happen since then. But BLM, I don't know if you can see it, but at the top it's circled in red. It says secure.actblue.com. So every time, to my understanding, the way I'm understanding this, is that every single time, all of these woke companies and everybody that donated money to Black Lives Matter, they were doing it through ActBlue. So did ActBlue get the money and then they sent it to Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. So when you went to donate to Black Lives Matter, it went to ActBlue and then it went to Black Lives Matter. So all that money that ActBlue sent to Black Lives Matter, and then they took it and they bought these mansions and they went on these lavish trips and these wild, crazy parties, was all being funded by ActBlue.
Yeah, it's hard to read, but at the bottom of that, it says in the lighter writing, it says, your contribution will benefit Black Lives Matter Global Network. I mean, ActBlue is so huge. It is so huge. And I understand why Elon Musk and them are now calling for an investigation into this company.
Yeah, because you know what? And the thing is, all this information came up when Joe Biden was in office, but they all ignored it. Remember? Keith. Did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, the O'Keefe story.
The O'Keefe, he actually came up. This story was when Joe Biden was in office.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was huge then. So he actually broke the news about ActBlue. He broke the information about this. I talked about it back then, but, now more information is coming out about it. Now there's actually can be an investigation on it. This is criminal activity that's taking place. And they're upset. Now, I can only imagine right now that the Democrats are going to be like, oh, my goodness, how dare Elon Musk? How dare he do this? How dare he call for an investigation in ActBlue? And if they're angry about it and all this corruption is happening, they will be angry about it because they were on the receiving end of the corruption. That's the only reason why they'd be upset about it, because they're on the receiving end. 100%. That's the reason why. Now, as I mentioned before, and I've said this multiple times, if President Trump's administration, if they don't, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, if they don't arrest people this time, what's going to end up happening, and this is just my opinion on this, okay? I hope I'm wrong, but this is just my opinion, that if President Trump's administration and the FBI, if they don't actually if they don't actually arrest people for all of the things that they've done to this country, to the American people, not just President Trump. I mean, what they did to President Trump is bad enough, but they did not only to him, they did it to the American people. And if they don't arrest these people for what they've done, what's going to happen is that once President Trump is done with these 4 years, and if the Democrats ever get back in power, which I'm hoping that they never do, but let's just say that they do for the sake of argument, they're going to double down. And all this corruption that's coming to the surface right now, they're going to say it was legal. They're going to say there was no wrongdoing. It was a deliberate attack. And they're going to be saying all of this right now. What Elon Musk and President Trump is doing, they're even saying it's illegal. They're saying what Elon Musk is doing is illegal. They're saying Elon Musk looking at all of this data is illegal. And it's not illegal. It's 100% legal because President Trump, the executive branch, has hired Elon Musk to do a job. So it's 100% legal what he's doing. And they're saying that Elon Musk, they said that he forced his way into the system. Well, if he forces his way into the system, that will make him a hacker. And typically hackers don't reveal who they are. So it's completely stupid. And the Democrats, they say this because they're counting on people not understanding. Elon Musk didn't force his way into anything. President Trump asked him, hey, do you think you could possibly help us out? And Elon Musk said, yeah, most definitely. And Elon Musk, he doesn't have to do this. Well, I want you to listen to this because I think this is really important. Oh, this is not working for me. These are switching, but this one's not coming up for me. I'm not sure why not. Is this one coming up? Yep, that one's coming up.
I see it. You don't see it?
It's not coming up. Yeah, it's not coming up. I'm not sure why that's not coming up. I don't understand. I have a video, and this is with Tom Burchett. And for some reason, yeah, can you, I mean, I don't know if that'll fix it, but try. Because I want people to hear this video with Tom Burchett. I wonder if I can bring it in a different way. Because I want everyone to hear this because this is exactly what I've been saying. This needs to take place because if they don't go after these people and they don't lock them up, which a lot of people, there's people right now that's highly frustrated with the Pam Bondi and company, basically, because there hasn't been a single arrest yet. And I completely get that. I completely understand it. Huh? Okay, I got it. I just had to bring it in a different way. Okay, here it is. Check this out.
Informative and very in-depth tweet, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Congressman.
And all you're seeing right now is the graft, and that's why the left is pitching such a fit, because Elon Musk very bravely has stated there is a paper trail, and it will lead us to where this is. And you know good and well that stuff's going to go right out of the American taxpayer's back pocket, right into the pockets of politicians. In the past, we've seen it go into campaigns. That's been documented through some other funding sources. But now I think you're going to see some people should go to jail and possibly members of Congress.
So
let me stop it right there. You hear this? Now I've never, me personally, I'm pretty sure there's probably been one in the past, been a couple in the past, but I've never seen a Republican say that, or any politician other than Democrats, they want to put President Trump in jail, right? But now they actually have proof of these people and the criminal activity that they're doing and an investigation. And now if they find out in investigation that some of these politicians have been partaking in this criminal activity, they were the first ones just constantly screaming, no one is above the law. And just resigning shouldn't be enough. You know what? I'm just going to step down so you won't touch me. You'll leave me alone. I'll just step down from my position. No, you need to be arrested and forced out of your position. Listen to this. Oh, and let me say this too. There's an article. We'll actually put that up on the screen right now too, Shannon. There's an article about Kash Patel where he's actually going around Pam Bondi and directly to President Trump. So what's going on there?
Yeah, he wants to break protocol to establish a direct line to Trump in the Oval Office, bypassing Bondi, which I thought was interesting too. It's saying that he just basically it kind of sounds like he just wants a quicker line. He wants to be able to have a direct line from his house to President Trump. I don't know. I'm not. That kind kind of concerns me because like, there must be some kind of hiccup where he's like, I need
something
to go past
going on.
you.
And you know what? And this is going to prove what you said and what other people were saying when she dropped the ball with the Epstein files.
Yeah, she really hasn't impressed me so far.
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is, but listen to some more of this.
Possibly members of Congress, because what the suspicion is that the money is going out of the government under Democrat-run administrations, and it could be getting recycled back in campaign donations. Do you have hard evidence for why members of Congress should go to jail?
Well, if they're involved in it and if their family members are profiting from it, then you're dadgum right, they should. Absolutely, 100%. And honestly, if it's going in their campaigns, it's going into something else. These NGOs are very well documented by Elon Musk. He explained to us pretty easy how they do it. Some billionaire will put $1 million and form some NGO with a great name. It'll have $1 million in their account and have a few prominent people on their board. And then the federal government's looking for places, Democrats are looking for places to dump these tons of stolen taxpayer money into an NGO, and then they take it and they filter it out among their board members and their political friends. And that's the way it works, and he's going to document it. And that's why you're seeing him pitch such a fit. And also...
Let me stop it really quick. Does this sound like ActBlue? This sounds 100% like ActBlue.
And USAID.
And USAID.
I mean, he sounds like he's pretty clear on
these
the path.
NGOs. I mean, see, I think he's like saying, yeah, we got the goods on these people. We're just not going to, tip them off. But with Elon Musk putting that post out there where you have 7 of these people with ActBlue already stepped down, resigning just this week alone. Just this week alone. That is alarming. It really is. It is absolutely alarming that these people have done all this criminal activity and I'm like, well, I'm just going to step down. So, you can't touch me because I stepped down. I'm not held responsible for any of that. It's almost like they went and robbed the bank, right? This is what I'm just, that's a, weak analogy. And I did say weak. It's like they went and robbed the bank. And then after they robbed the bank, they got caught. And they said, well, you know what? I'm just going to return the money. So you can't do anything. You have to leave me alone because I returned the money. That's essentially what's happening here. But of course, they're not returning the money. They're walking away with however millions of dollars that they put in their pockets. These people should be held responsible. And I think he's kind of putting it out there saying that, yeah, we got the goods on these people because he's putting it out there. I don't think there's a single Democrat that has not had a involvement with these NGOs. I think they've been talking and colluding with all of them. With all of them. Now, they can come out right now and denounce these NGOs, but they're not going to do that. Remember when Joe Biden was in office and they were talking about all these NGOs on the southern border? They love these NGOs. How dare you talk to one of these NGOs? They're doing humanitarian work. And they did it all to undermine our great nation.
And I just want to say, what's also maddening is, of course, this is Burchett and he's on Fox News. So he's bringing this to Fox News. But when you go to the liberal platforms, CNN, MSNBC, and all of them, they're talking about, why are you cutting money? Why are you taking away jobs? Why is he going after Medicaid and Social Security? They're literally not talking about the fraud that is happening and the funneling of money that is happening at the government. They're not even interested in the story because that would make it look like everything that Elon Musk is doing is justified.
Yes. Yep. Because then, yeah, 100%. It would make it look like it's justified. This is a huge story, everybody. This is absolutely a huge story. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up. Share this video. Please share this video. And let me say thank you to Filter Dog for the pills on pill.net. Thank you so much for that. Hey, and if anyone else is watching, please, if you find it in your heart, help me out. Support me as much as possible. I need your help. I really do. I mean, I'm almost to the point. I am at the point. I'm begging you. Help me out. Please help me out financially. I need your support. Anything helps. Anything and everything helps. I really need your help. Let me play some more of this.
I think someone ought to look at all the young members that are out there on the ledge on this thing, pitching a fit about it. All they're doing is these old timers are allowing them to walk the plank so they can do their dirty work, and their hands are never touching it.
Yeah, we found names like, Obama's Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox, Michael Regan. Michael Regan is Biden's EPA chief. Nancy Pelosi, Barbara Lee, Gavin Newsom touted a nonprofit involved in this. We have, Democrat mayors like Bill de Blasio, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. So it's very deep. Obama's OMB aides, his Energy Department people. So, Congressman, your point is well taken. We'd love to get your reaction, please, to Elon Musk revealing the staggering dollar amount that Doge is finding every day. Watch.
What we do is in consultation with the cabinet secretaries and with their departments.
You know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but
yeah,
you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt. Savings.
Why is that a bad thing? According to the left, they see that what Elon Musk is doing is a bad thing. He doesn't want America to go bankrupt. I think I'm in agreement with him on that. It's not going bankrupt is not a good thing. It destroys things. It destroys things.
I find it interesting that, people are worried about people in the government, the bureaucracy of government losing jobs, but they don't understand that we're at the point where if we don't do something now, they're going to lose their jobs anyways.
Yeah.
We have to save our government. It's like a business is going underwater and you're like, well, we can't fire anybody because that's just not right. And then the business loses, they go bankrupt and they can no longer function as people lose their jobs anyways. Everyone does. Everyone loses their job. It doesn't make sense. Literally, the Democrats do not care about America being on the right track. They don't care about us being financially stable. They care more about they're greedy. They are greedy people. They are money hungry.
Yeah.
And literally Trump and Elon, they don't need this headache in their life. They're billionaires and they could live a life without all this. But they're saying, you know what? A bigger legacy is having to make sure that America is around and it's going to be prosperous for the generations behind us.
Yep. Hey, let me see. This is really like a subject for me that is personal, and it angers me. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really angry. I really am. And the reason being is because for all of the years, and I saw one person on peel.net said that they've been watching me, Rita66, I think, Rhett, said that they've been watching me since Sacramento, since I was walking around in Sacramento doing walking talks. I went up to I didn't live in Sacramento, but I went to Sacramento quite often. And thank you so much for watching me on peel.net. And here I am, for those of you that have been watching me all of this time, doing the walking talks. From me just, doing my selfie stick, walk and talk, to me sitting in my studio now. I've never cursed. You won't find a video with me cursing. You won't find a video of me advocating for violence. You will never see a video of me showing nudity. None of that. And what's happened is that because I talked about certain things 3 years ago, YouTube took my channel away, and I'm blessed to have it back. I'm really blessed to have my YouTube channel back, and I'm on there right now. If you're on YouTube right now, please bless me by hitting that thumbs up. And I've been on Rumble for maybe 3-4 years now. I think I got on Rumble right after they took my YouTube channel away. And I'm watching a Rumble. If you're watching a Rumble, please bless me by hitting the thumbs up there as well. And on Facebook, my Facebook account got hacked. And I was able to get my Facebook page back. But I think I made a mistake when I talked to Facebook support, because I let them know that I have the screenshots of the hackers. as soon as I let them know that I have screenshots of the hackers, because I'm thinking I'm talking to people on Facebook side that was going to help me out, because I was paying for support. I was paying to prevent what happened to me happen. And I can't afford to get a lawyer because every lawyer wants $10,000 right off the bat. There's no way I can do that. There's no way I can do that. But they put me in a position to where they've taken my income away. YouTube, because put it this way, when I first started going on YouTube, YouTube had these training videos for people to do. And they were encouraging people to quit their day job and become content creators. I'm like, wow, they're actually doing this. This is pretty cool. And I was like, at the time, I was like, okay, can I do this? Do I have enough information? Do people want to hear what Will Johnson has to say for me to make a living on social media, YouTube, Facebook, the different platforms? To make a living, my website, uniteamericafirst.com. Can you put that up there, Shannon? And I'm like, I started making decent money, enough to keep my lights on, enough for me to keep the water, some water in my faucet here. But then they took my income away. And I can only think that USAID has something to do with that. Because this happened when Joe Biden was still in office. This happened when USAID was still doing all the stuff that they were doing. And come to find out, apparently USAID what's been reported, that they were talking to Facebook and YouTube and these other, and Twitter at the time, to block and censor conservatives. And as I mentioned, I told Facebook support that I have screenshots of the hackers, and they happen to be of certain Indian descent. And when I told them I have screenshots of that, they removed my monetization altogether. And it was a devastating blow so then I didn't have my YouTube, and I just got my YouTube back maybe 2 months ago. And I had to work really hard just to get it to where it is right now, to get some monetization on my YouTube channel, but they're still blocking my YouTube channel. There's still it says there's 110,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and they won't even allow 1% to get notifications to find out about it. And on my Facebook page, I have 360,000 people on there, and they won't even let a 1% of 1% of the people get a notification. Well, they probably let 7% of the 1% to get a notification on my Facebook page. So they're blocking me there, and they took all my monetization away, which brings me to a point that if I don't have if I can't make some dramatic changes, and I was hoping President Trump was going to get a digital bill of rights, but there's so much going on. I don't know that he'll be able to get to a digital bill of rights, and the Democrats will fight against that, because the Democrats are 100% for censoring the American people. They're for crushing voices like mine. They're 100% for that. They have no issues in doing that. They have none at all. And they've actually crushed me. I mean, really bad, devastating. So I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do what I'm doing now. And I'm praying and I'm hoping that God, puts it on someone's heart to say, well, I'm going to help you out. But man, and again, I'm safe, right? I've never cursed at anybody. I've been out on the street and stuff like that, and getting heated at the moment, and I've said stuff to people that, nothing that's, like this, oh my goodness, I can't believe Will Johnson said that. Maybe a couple of times. But for the most part, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not perfect by any means. Not perfect at all. And the reason why I bring this up, because they do all of this crap, USAID, ActBlue, funneling all of this corrupt money, taking our dollars, the government taking our money and spending it on all this woke stuff. And then they come after me. They attack me. They take my monetization away. And I know I'm not the only one. So they hurt me because of the way I think. You hear this? They hurt me because of the way I think. Now, if I was out here hating Trump, if I was out here disrespecting this country, they probably would have left my monetization alone 100%. If I would have went along with all of the wokeism, this is disgusting. what has happened. So yes, I'm a little PO'd about it because I hear all of these millions of dollars going to all these woke programs that's not benefiting the American people at all. And we got the American people hurting right now. Oh, did you hear President Trump? Because of President Trump and what he's already done, eggs are down, what, $1.85 now? But of course, you're not going to hear anything about the liberal media bring that up. They're going to blow it off as much as possible. So here I am working hard every day, trying to put in the time, put in the effort. And they found out that Will Johnson supported President Trump. Will Johnson is a true Christian because I don't deviate from what the Bible says. The Bible will convict me when I do something wrong. That's why I do not curse, because it convicts me. Now, I'm not saying that people cursing, because words are just words. But the Bible is clear that, it's easier for man to tame the beasts of the field than it is for him to tame his own tongue. Now, I'm kind of paraphrasing it there, okay? But you know exactly what I'm saying. It's in the Bible. I just want to be able to work, earn a living, provide for my family. And they're doing everything they can to take it away. And yet they're doing all of this corruption, and they're all involved together to do it. Which brings me to another point. When Joe Biden was in office and they all talked about Joe Biden not being completely there, I remember I did this video with my buddy Jay McCaney. And we did this video and we were showing Joe Biden when he was on The View. And it was satire. Right? It was satire, it was parody. And Joe Biden was sitting on The View. And they were asking him a question, and the way they put it together, it looked like Joe Biden was just completely lost. And they were looking like, man, this dude he's completely gone. And it was so funny. We just laughed and laughed. It was satire, right? We just laughed. And that's the first video that I had on Facebook that hit over 2 million views. Just laughed. But we knew something was wrong with Joe. We all knew something was wrong with him. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosed with Joe Biden, but just looking at him like something's wrong. I don't know what that something is. You decide on what that is, right? You probably know better than I do, but we were saying something's wrong with him. Well, come to find out, Joe Biden, and I talked about this the other day, he had what they call an auto pen. So when he was doing these executive orders and when he was doing a lot of these things the pardons that he was doing, he was not signing it himself. It was with an auto pen, which begs the question, who was doing these signatures for Joe Biden? Joe Biden didn't even have to be there. Like an auto, I don't know what the mechanism that they use, but I'm thinking like an auto pen. It's just like one of those stamp things you get in. But an auto pen is some kind of machine to try to make it look like it was handwritten as much as possible. But every single one that they had on there was consistent, no variation. Now, if you sign your name enough, like even with President Trump, he signs his name so often, there's still slight variations on every single one. Not a single signature is going to be exactly the same as the last one, like a machine would be. And that's what happened here. Listen to this. This was they were reporting about this on the OAN. And there was not just executive orders, but there were pardons that Joe Biden did, or he didn't do, somebody did, with this auto pen.
But if you look at these presidential pardons, they need to be signed with a wet signature. They're not. They're signed with an auto pen. So what should happen to them is they should get tossed out. And I think as we continue this investigation, we're going to figure out who was actually making the calls when to apply the auto pen, use the auto pen. Towards the end of last year, Biden's golfing in the Virgin Islands. Pardons are coming out with his signature on it and a marking saying this document was signed in Washington, D.C. Wow. Those two things don't work together.
No, they don't. As we know, you can't be in two places at the same time. But go on.
We're going to have a lot more. Obviously, since this kind of went viral over the weekend, we've had a lot of legal experts reach out. A lot of important people are feeding us new information. We're using all sorts of technology to go through these signatures, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg.
So, I mean, the corruption, they actually have tangible evidence that a crime took place. Corruption was taking place. And of course, every single Democrat is going to come out and say, this is unacceptable. There's no variations. There's no wrongdoing here. Every last one of them. Every last one of them, because they do not care. They absolutely do not care about anything that the corrupt Democrats have done. They don't care about any of it. They really don't. Okay, so should we go a little bit further, Shannon? Since we started late, let me ask y'all in the chat. Okay, is it possible that we can try to bring that up? That would be cool. Is it so a press conference with the new press secretary? So if we can bring that up, if y'all want, I will stick around.
Yeah, it says it will begin shortly.
And I will bring that up if you want. So let me go to the chat, because I have so much more I can talk to you about here. I mean, I really do. I have so much more I could talk to you about. But so let me go to the chat. If y'all want me to stick around, I'm looking on Facebook now. If y'all want me to stick around and share the press secretary, because I'm pretty sure, I'm guessing just maybe some questions might come up about ActBlue. Be pretty cool if it did, especially since this is the main thing that we're talking about here and all the money, and I'm something kind of curious. Or they'll probably end up bringing up information about the tariffs, what Canada is doing. And did you know Canada is now talking about, did you do the converter on that? Canada is now talking about, yeah, okay, and I see it over here too. Okay. So just make sure you see it, because I'm getting a black screen over here for it. Okay. So let me look in the comments here. Y'all want me to hang around? Y'all want me to stick around? Okay, I'll keep going. Because so as soon as it comes up, we're going to go to it. But while we're waiting for that, and I'm going to stick around because for popular demand, and thank you so much. God bless you. Put it this way. If you want me to stick around, you haven't already, hit the thumbs up for me. I see everyone on Facebook saying yes. Let me go over to YouTube. People saying stay, Will. Okay, I'm going to stay for you. And on Rumble, yep, keep going. I'm going to keep going for you. Please bless me by hitting the thumbs up. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to hit the thumbs up, especially on YouTube and on Rumble. Is extremely important that you hit the thumbs up, because that's what the algorithms look at. They see that you hit that thumbs up, and I can't see it that you hit the thumbs up, and they don't report it publicly to anybody. So please bless me by hitting the thumbs up. And on Facebook, if you could hit the share button for me, that would really make a difference. Okay, so is this one? Let me play this one. Here's one with Scott Jennings. And what's the title on this one, Shannon? Because I want to kind of lead into this one. Jennings is they're arguing about waste, fraud, and abuse. Oh, okay. Perfect timing. Talking about USAID and ActBlue.
This is basically referring to what I talked about before. They're more worried about, they want to protect jobs, but they're really not talking about the waste, fraud that's in the government. They don't want to get rid of it.
I think on the entitlement issue, which you played, the president is in charge. He has made it perfectly clear he is not touching Social Security, Medicare, and even Medicaid, other than to say if...
Let me stop it. I'm sorry.
You didn't last very long.
I apologize. It's so good because President Trump, he's 100% correct. President Trump has multiple times said that he's not going to touch Social Security. He's not going to touch Medicare. But if there's any fraud, any criminal activity, it needs to be dealt with. The Democrats have a problem with him dealing with the fraud. If there is any, if there's no fraud, then hey, no foul, no play. But if there is fraud, don't you think that everyone should be on board about stopping it? Right? At least that's my thinking.
There is fraud in any program. He'd like to root out the fraud. That's period. He's the president. The buck stops with the president. He's been clear about that since he started running in 2015.
I mean, Republicans are getting ready to cut a lot from Medicare.
Well, you call it cuts. They're calling it could be slowing the growth of the program or rooting out fraud, but that's different than cuts.
Well, here's the reason. Here's the reason I have a lot.
$million worth of fraud.
Yeah, and I have a lot of reason to doubt what you're saying because
let me tell you something. There's a huge able-bodied population in this country that should not be on welfare. That is a true story.
And of course, they're going, she's going to say welfare is not that big, or he says it. When somebody says, well, welfare is not that really big in the whole scheme of things, but it's fraud that's taking place. When you add it all up together, it adds up to a lot. And they're trying to give some of it a pass. And I think the guy in the Cowboy hat said, we all want to cut waste and fraud. We just don't like the way that Elon Musk is doing it and President Trump is doing it. You know why? Because they don't like it. They say they like it, but they don't like it. And they don't like the way that Elon Musk is doing it and President Trump is doing it. Why? Because it's actually getting done.
First of all,
that's actually not true.
Hold on a second. Welfare is not the biggest driver of this, actually. But what I'm saying is that DOGE has put all this money on the board, and they've said, "Oh, this is waste, fraud, and abuse." And when you really look at it, they're just programs that Elon and the president and random 20-something-year-olds don't like. So when you say fraud and abuse, there's not a lot of evidence.
The first word is usually waste, and they consider it to be waste.
Do you think
they are not actually doing that? When Congress authorizes money for a program, or a program is duly authorized, that's not waste, fraud, and abuse. That's just something you don't like.
Abby, everybody wants to find waste, fraud, and abuse until somebody actually does it.
Do you think people...
This is the problem. Okay. This is the problem.
And let me just talk on that. What she says, when Congress approves the money. Unfortunately, what's happened, and especially we could speak about USAID, they approve them to have a certain amount of money, right? And they have a certain mission. The problem is they don't line item everything that is going to get that money. And under Biden especially, the judiciary committees, the way they were trying to get them to say, hey, where's that money going to? Can we get the receipts? And USAID would not give them the receipts. And so that's one of the things that Elon Musk was talking about. The bureaucracy of the government is so big that they're running it that they don't even want to be held accountable by Congress. So when Abby says that, it's literally deceiving the American people. The American people, the Congress did not approve these little things that Elon Musk and them are finding as wasteful. And you notice
every time Scott Jennings bring up a really good point, she jumps in to cut him off to try to shut him down.
Doesn't she?
Every single time. Y'all pay attention to that.
Yeah. Well,
no. They're actually saying, okay, maybe this is wasteful.
No, hold on for a second.
And then Washington goes crazy.
That's untrue. It's been done. The Clinton administration was able to put together an
30-something years ago.
Right, but the point of it is the way that
never happened.
It's been done. But the way that they went about it was to study for 6 months and then to take a longer time to understand which government jobs needed to be rooted out. He fired a bunch of people. He ended with a budget. It's been done. It's just the way that you guys are doing it.
I know. And the way that we're doing it is that you don't want us to do it. In 2019, we spent $4.4 trillion as a government. Last year, we spent $6.2 trillion. The government's gotten more expensive and much larger over the last 5 years. The only question Republicans have is, does it have to be this large and does it have to be this expensive? That's the question.
Now, listen. Here comes the part where he says everyone wants to get rid of waste and fraud. We just don't like the way that Elon Musk and President Trump is doing it. What's wrong with the way they're doing it? I know they're being transparent. They're allowing all of us to know the wasteful fraud that's been taking place. That's what they don't like. They're okay with it happening. You can say that you're going to get rid of it. Just don't tell the American people about it. Because once you tell the American people about it, they start realizing who was doing the wasteful spending and the fraud.
And I like how he admits we don't like the way he's doing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't like the way he's doing it.
We just don't like it.
What's wrong with the way he's doing it?
We had to eliminate jobs.
You know what? Hey, it happens when you have people in places of position not doing anything. They won't even check their email.
Let me enlighten people on some things. If you recall, under Joe Biden, we had those jobs reports. The jobs reports would come out and it'd say we added 150,000 jobs. Well, one thing that the Biden administration doing was it was creating government jobs to boost those job numbers.
Yeah.
So
they were manipulating the numbers.
150 jobs, but 110,000 of those 150,000 jobs were government jobs. He blew up the bureaucracy of the government.
Yeah. Listen,
Elon's finally trying to cut into it, and the Republicans in Congress need to help.
You guys should start in your own house, because your president drove up the deficit as much as anybody ever has, maybe more than anyone.
And why? So what happened at the end of Trump?
So then,
any memory of it?
I do remember. Even before then, though. Even before that, though. Everybody's got Google. So the reality of it is this: if no one that I know is against finding waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. However, the way that you go about doing it, you don't play with Americans' lives, you don't play with their jobs, you don't do things haphazardly where you have to fire people. Then
can you name one thing you do differently?
One thing I do differently?
You say
so now you're going to make me in charge of those.
No, I'm asking.
Okay.
You say you're against waste, fraud, and abuse. What would you consider the government to do that's wasteful today?
Okay, well then what I would do if I was looking for waste, fraud, and abuse.
Now listen to this, because the Democrats, the Democrats, they do not like the military. And there is an audit that's taking place in the Pentagon. There is one. President Trump already asked Elon Musk, "Hey, get into it."
Well,
and Pete Hegseth even said it. We're doing an audit.
Yep.
They're already doing it. We can see Republicans can chew gum and walk at the same time, and even have a conversation. Democrats, they can't do that.
This is I would start in the Defense Department and at the Pentagon.
You hear that? Right there. He would start at the Pentagon.
What would you consider the government to do that's wasteful today?
Okay, well then what I would do if I was looking for waste, fraud, and abuse is I would start in the Defense Department and at the Pentagon. I would start with the defense industrial complex of America, and I would look there.
I think Elon and you were in agreement on that.
Well, he hasn't. So the question is, when are they going to get around to it? Because they're starting off with firing park rangers.
But hold on.
They've already gotten around to it. What they're looking for is for them to come out and say, "Yep, we cut all of this military spending to allow the American people to have a defense program." But now, if they go into the Pentagon and they find all of this wasteful money going to Ukraine and they cut it off, what do you think the Democrats are going to say then? Oh, no, you can't cut the money to the Pentagon. You can't cut that to the Pentagon. Now, if you want to cut defense for Americans to be protected, they're completely fine with that. But protecting Ukraine, nope, you can't cut that. It has to be there 100%. You got to protect Ukraine at all costs, not the United States of America, at all costs. Just like yesterday, I had on this young man. His name is Ike. He's a total Democrat, and we were having a discussion. And, we brought up Ukraine. Ukraine is not part of the United States of America. They're not. They're not the 51st state, but the Democrats acting like they are. Like you got to do everything you can for Ukraine. We have people hurting here. These bureaucrats and these Democrats have taken the money from the American people and they've sent it to everybody else and put it in their pockets while the rest of us is hurting. And they're upset because Elon Musk is finding waste and they're finding fraud. See, they want us to believe that none of this fraud was taking place in the federal government. That's what that's really about, right? Like, they have to have this perception. They got to put it out there. The facade of the federal government, the U.S. federal government, is not corrupt. And we've been saying it for how many years? I've been saying it when I was a kid. People were saying how corrupt the federal government is. And now we have President Trump in office actually changing the federal government, fixing the federal government. And I think it was Scott Jennings said that every time a president come in, there should be an audit of the last presidency. Should be an audit of the government. They don't want to do an audit. And see, and it's not just Democrats, Rhinocrats, they were taking advantage of all of this as well. Because there's some Rhinocrats, Dan Crenshaw, that's not even saying anything. Have you even seen anything from Dan Crenshaw? Have you heard anything from him?
I really haven't. Ever since he got caught on that hot mic.
Yeah. Oh, the hot mic with Tucker?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything either.
Quiet, yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
Basically, if people don't know, he threatened or said if he could, he would.
Yeah, he would harm.
Yeah.
He would harm Tucker if he had the opportunity. I mean, come on. These Rhinocrats and these Democrats, they do not care about this country. They really don't. Well, I would have to say that there are some things that are changing. I want to share this one with you. And of course, this is about, is this a correct one where they're talking about the U.S. employees cut jobs? right? U.S. employers, right? Cutting jobs last month, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of people supporting cutting these jobs, these wasteful jobs in the federal government. They're cutting my pay. They've demonetized me, and I'm actually working. I can tell you I can tell you 5 things that I accomplished this morning. So here I am actually working, trying to make an honest living, straight up honest living. And they did what they can to hurt me. And I mean, it's really bad, people. I can't even stress it enough. It's really bad. Well, here, let's listen to what they're saying here on the Communist News Network.
About when we're talking about the cuts that Doge is bringing about. How are they feeling about
Yeah, this to me was one of the more shocking figures that I saw. Made me go, wait a minute, hold on 1 second. Whoa, Americans on Trump and Joe's efforts. Musk and Doge should influence government spending and operations. Look at this, 54%. The majority say that he and they should. How about approve of Trump trying to cut staff at government agencies? Again, you get a majority here, 51%. So yeah, Elon Musk might not be that popular, but these cuts and the idea of spending cuts, at least within the federal government and cutting at government agencies, that actually has majority support. I was truly surprised by this, Kate, but the numbers are the numbers.
Well, there is a view that cuts across Democrat and Republican of people thinking that Washington is too big, bloated federal government, waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, those are drain the swamp is what people run on over and over again. How do they feel? What do they think they're actually cutting?
Yeah, what do they think they're actually cutting? Democrats want to argue that the type of spending that Musk is cutting is mainly necessary programs, but that comes in at just 36%. The wasteful spending actually wins the plurality here at 42%, according to a recent Washington Post Ipsos poll. And I think that is the reason why you see that when it comes to Musk and Doge, you see, in fact, the majority believe he should have some influence because they believe, the plurality believe, that he is cutting wasteful spending, not necessary programs that Democrats are arguing.
He is cutting wasteful spending. He really is.
Well, I just want to.
You want to go and talk about it? Go ahead.
Actually, Trump just put this out in regards to the attacks on Elon Musk. He said to Republicans, conservatives, and all great Americans, Elon Musk is putting it on the line in order to help our nation, and he is doing a fantastic job. But the radical left lunatics, as they often do, are trying to illegally and collusively boycott Tesla, one of the world's great automakers, and Elon's baby, in order to attack and do harm to Elon and everything he stands for. They tried to do it to me at the 2024 presidential ballot box. But how did that work out? In any event, I'm going to buy a brand new Tesla tomorrow morning as a show of confidence and support for Elon Musk, a truly great American. Why should he be punished for putting his tremendous skills to work in order to make America great again? I wonder what he's going to buy.
I wondered that too. Actually, I read that.
The truck, right?
I read that. I read that before we came on, and I was thinking, what kind of Tesla is he going to purchase? And actually, people were even talking about what kind of Tesla he's going to purchase. But Trump is he's not a small guy. He's not short. So I can only imagine that he's more likely going to get a Tesla truck. And now that Elon Musk knows that President Trump is going to purchase a Tesla truck, wouldn't it just be fitting for President Trump to get that new Tesla truck?
And
the one with the solar panels?
Gold. I think it should be gold because you had the gold shoes.
Well, he said he's going to buy it today. Do you think they might have one already made for him?
They'll do anything for Trump.
Yeah, but it won't be. I guess he'll go ahead and make the purchase today and then get it. But you know what? I can see. I can see the left screaming and saying, "Oh, see, this is how he's benefiting. President Trump is taking taxpayer dollars and going to buy a Tesla truck."
Now they're really not going to want it because they're going to be like, "Nah, Trump buy Tesla. I'm not buying it."
Well, that's the reason why he's buying it, because of all the tax that they're doing and the damage.
She just came on.
All the damage and all the attacks that they've been doing. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. Okay, I think we have her. Yeah. Okay, I got a black screen over here, so okay, let's go to the press secretary.
Pro-growth economic agenda and answer questions before more than 100 of our nation's leading CEOs. In fact, it's the largest attendance ever for this event because business leaders are so eager and encouraged by President Trump's return to Washington. This follows President Trump's roundtable yesterday with the Technology CEO Council here at the White House, where he met with key leaders in the technology industry. And last night, President Trump also held an official swearing-in ceremony in the Oval Office for Sean Curran, who is now the 28th Director of the United States Secret Service. Sean demonstrated unbelievable bravery under gunfire in Butler, Pennsylvania this past July when an assassin tried to kill President Trump. As someone who got to know Sean personally throughout the campaign last year, I can say unequivocally that there is nobody better suited for this important role. And following the confirmation of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRomer last night, the Senate has now confirmed 21 of President Trump's well-qualified cabinet-level nominees, far outpacing the previous administration. And looking ahead, tomorrow, the president will welcome the Taoiseach Micheál Martin of Ireland for the annual White House Shamrock ceremony. And Thursday, President Trump will welcome the NATO Secretary General for a working meeting and lunch. On the economy, February's jobs report was good news for America, particularly our manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector gained 10,000 new jobs in just 1 month under President Trump. This rebound was led by the automobile sector, where we saw 9,000 new auto jobs created already. That is the most auto jobs added to the economy in 15 months. This was a complete turnaround from the Biden administration, where we were losing an average of 9,000 manufacturing jobs per month last year. Reuters is out with a report that a number of companies are now looking at expanding their presence or bringing their businesses into America because of President Trump's policies. And just moments ago, before coming out here, I saw another report by Reuters revealing that Merck has opened a $1 billion facility at its North Carolina site. This is just the latest pharmaceutical company to boost its U.S. manufacturing in lieu of President Trump's tariffs. This announcement follows Eli Lilly's plans to invest at least $27 billion to build 4 new manufacturing plants here in the United States. And Pfizer has also said it's considering moving their manufacturing overseas right here to the United States of America. As the president has said over and over again, when we purchase products made in the USA, the profits stay here, the revenue stays here, and most importantly, the jobs stay here. And despite the globalist mainstream media's attempts to worry consumers, President Trump will not repeat the trend of past American presidents who broke their promises to the American public and smiled while they stuck a knife in the back of American workers and shipped their jobs overseas. Our country has lost more than 5 million jobs in more than 90,000 factories due to devastating globalization over the last 3 decades alone. North Carolina lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs, including 60% of its furniture manufacturing jobs in the years following NAFTA. And in Michigan, globalist policies destroyed 250,000 jobs, including 40% of the auto industry, which again we know is clawing back because of President Trump's action already. These are harrowing statistics that represent countless towns and families who have been completely destroyed. But the America Last globalist era is ending under President Trump. He will no longer allow our country and our workers, our hard-working American families, to be ripped off. On another very important issue for the president, he continues to work hard to secure the border. If you missed it yesterday, CBP launched an enhanced home mobile app with a new feature, the Intent to Depart, which offers unlawfully present aliens or those aliens whose parole has been revoked an orderly and defined process to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart the country. The CBP Home app strengthens our mission to secure the border and provides illegal aliens with a straightforward way to leave now before facing much harsher consequences later. A new report from Bloomberg just found that the number of aliens trying to reach our country by traveling through the jungle to Central America dropped a whopping 99% last month. And this follows the incredible news that illegal border crossings plummeted last month as well, down 94% at our southern border from last February under the Biden administration. As President Trump made clear during his historic address to Congress, We must finish this job and continue to carry out the largest deportation campaign in American history. And that is why the president fully endorses the continuing resolution that is before Congress and was negotiated by Speaker Johnson. He is encouraging all Republicans to vote yes on this clean CR, which freezes funding at current levels and will prevent the Democrats from getting their long-awaited government shutdown. Voting against this CR will hurt the American people and kill the incredible momentum that President Trump has built over the past 51 days. And lastly, before I take questions, I would like to commend the Washington Post, who I believe is in the room today. According to a new report from Axios, the Washington Post is overhauling their newsroom structure. It appears that the mainstream media, including the Post, is finally learning that having disdain for more than half of the country who supports this president does not help you sell newspapers. It's not a very good business model. And that's why we have people in our new media seat. And today we have Sargar Anetti, who is the host of Breaking Points, a popular political YouTube news and podcast show that has racked up nearly 1 billion views on YouTube, several 100 million podcast downloads since its launch in June 2021. He's also a former member of the White House Correspondents Association, but is now a part of the thriving independent media. We're very happy to have you with us here today. Why don't you kick off our briefing? Thank you.
Really appreciate you having me, Caroline. A couple of questions for you, if I may. First on the stock market. So currently it's the 25th anniversary today of the dot-com bubble crash. There's a lot of concern for a lot of Americans right now about the state of the economy. President Trump has refused to rule out a recession. Secretary Lutnick, however, has told us there will not be one. So can the White House just tell and assure Americans today that there's not going to be a recession?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So let me start by saying that, first of all, when it comes to the stock market, the numbers that we see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we'll see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition. We are in a period of transition from the mess that was created under Joe Biden in the previous administration. Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster. Several statistics to point out. The delinquency rate on credit card loans increased 63% under Joe Biden, hitting a near 12-year high. Under Joe Biden, all net job growth went to foreign-born Americans. Real wages declined by 1.5% under Joe Biden. And as we all know, and this administration continues to combat, prices soared more than 20% under Joe Biden because of his reckless spending and economic policies. So we are in a period of transition from that economic nightmare under a president who had no idea what he was doing, never held a private sector job in his life, into a golden age of American manufacturing under a businessman and a deal maker in chief in President Donald J. Trump, who is implementing the formula that we know works. Look at President Trump's results in his first term. If people are looking for certainty, they should look at the record of this president. That's why the American people reelected him back to this office. And look at everything that President Trump has already done and his team has already done in just 51 days. The massive efforts to deregulate, tax cuts, which we need Congress to pass the Trump economic agenda, the Trump tax cuts, which will unleash economic growth. And the president also addressed this directly, I will point out as well, when you look at what he said on Air Force One. And he said he wants the American people to have so much money in their pockets they don't even know what to do with it. That's the intent of this administration, and we're working very hard every day on that goal.
Second question on the CR. So President Trump came out today in a primary challenge against Congressman Thomas Massie. Congressman Massie's been a supporter of DOGE. He's been a supporter of Make America Healthy Again. What kind of message is this White House sending against a congressman who's sticking up for principles that he's long held in the chamber and voting against continuing resolution and spending?
I think the president has made it very clear that he believes it's critical for conservatives and Republicans and frankly all members of Congress to get behind this continuing resolution to keep the government funded. The president wants to continue the momentum that he has built over the last 51 days. In order to keep the government funded, we got to keep moving with these deportations. And he believes that everybody needs to get on board with this bill. He's been active in this process. He's been making calls to get this over the finish line. And we're urging every Republican and Democrats too to do what's right for the American public to prevent a government shutdown.
Just the last question here on Mahmoud Khalil. Does the administration believe believe that it needs to charge a green card holder with a crime to be eligible for deportation?
Well, in fact, Secretary Rubio reserves the right to revoke the visa of Mahmoud Khalil, and I'm glad you brought this up. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke a green card or a visa for individuals who serve or are adversarial to the foreign policy and national security interests of the United States of America. And Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in. And I have those flyers on my desk. They were provided to me by the Department of Homeland Security. I thought about bringing them into this briefing room to share with all of you, but I didn't think it was worth the dignity of this room to bring that pro-Hamas propaganda. But that's what this individual distributed on the campus of Columbia University. And this administration is not going to tolerate individuals having the privilege of studying in our country and then siding with pro-terrorist organizations that have killed Americans. We have a zero-tolerance policy for siding with terrorists, period. Peter Ducey.
Thank you, Caroline. So you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly, workers, should bet on President Trump, because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries all over this world.
President Trump says he's going to buy a Tesla today. Did he buy it? And when is the last time he drove a car?
That's a very good question. I have heard the president remark that he misses being able to drive, that luxury of driving his own vehicle, although the beast is nice. But he is going to be viewing a Tesla that is making its way to the White House complex now, I can confirm. Perhaps the press pool today will have an opportunity to witness this very exciting moment later this afternoon. But a Tesla is on its way here now, and we'll see if the president likes it when he checks it out.
So they're bringing him a Tesla to look at, and if he likes it, he's just going to buy it.
You know, he's intent on, he's definitely going to buy one, but he'll take a look at it when it gets here later this afternoon.
Full retail?
Yes, full market price. Kelly.
Can we talk about Canada? What is the status of President Trump having a conversation with Mark Carney? We have seen the president use the term governor to refer to Justin Trudeau. Will that moniker also go to Mr. Carney going forward? And is the decision to increase the tariffs, is that based on a specific economic metric that he looked at? Is it impulse? How would you describe his reaction to Canada?
The president has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago. But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him.
That he looked at, is it impulse? How would you describe his reaction to Canada?
The president has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago. But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him. As for the tariffs, the president made his position on this quite clear with the statement that he put out. And it was a retaliatory statement due to the escalation of rhetoric that we've seen out of Ontario, Canada. The president saw the premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people, for hardworking American families. He made that threat. The president saw that and has an obligation and a responsibility to respond accordingly and represent the interests of the American people. So he has made the decision to add a 25% tariff. So now steel and aluminum tariffs will come into effect tomorrow at the rate of 50%. And our steel and aluminum industries have actually applauded these tariffs because, again, they know it's going to grow their industry here. It's going to allow them to export more steel that is made right here in the United States with American workers.
Egregious and insulting are your words here, but that's what many Canadian leaders have said about the actions President Trump has taken toward Canada. And what do you think the timeline is for speaking to Mr. Carney? Because normally a sitting president speaks to a close ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think that's helping Kentucky bourbon be exported into India? I don't think so. 100% tariff on agricultural products from India. Look at Japan, tariffing rice, 700%. President Trump believes in reciprocity, and it is about dang time that we have a president who actually looks out for the interests of American businesses and workers. And all he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices. And unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades. To the woman in the purple, because I saw you were making a face at my previous answer. So what's going on?
Well, actually, I have a couple of questions. At the core of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses and elsewhere is a demand to end the war in Gaza, a goal that this administration actually supports and has pursued. So why has this not been acknowledged or highlighted even?
Because these colleges and these protests have again put out Hamas propaganda. The flyers that have been distributed call for violence. The flyers that have been distributed have the logo of an organization that has held Americans hostage, that murdered innocent babies, that murdered men, women, and children. They are a designated foreign terrorist organization, and we are not going to tolerate non-citizens, foreigners who come here on a visa engaging in such behavior, siding with terrorists. And the Secretary of State reserves the authority to revoke the green card or the visa of an individual who serves as an actually it says right here, reasonable grounds to believe that the alien's presence or activities in the United States would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences to the United States. And I think siding with Hamas makes that quite clear. Secretary Rubio exercised that authority, and we fully believe that we are going to move forward with more arrests, as President Trump previewed in his statement yesterday. Ed.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead.
So are there conversations between the administration and the Canadians going on over this tariff? Because the Ontario Premier says the next step is to cut off electricity to the U.S.
And the president put out a statement after seeing those comments and said that it would be there would be grave consequences imposed on Canada if they think about shutting off electricity for the United States of America and our citizens. And the president is also determined to ensure that we are depending on American electricity, not the electricity production of foreign nations, including our allies in Canada. As for conversations, there is continued correspondence between the president's team, particularly Secretary Lutnick, and the Canadians as well.
And the market reaction, how do you sell to the American people then after they're looking at what's happening in the markets this week and say that the tariff policy long term is something good?
Well, just think about what the tariff policy long-term will do for our country. I think many of us probably grew up in small towns. I know at least I did, and the main street in my small town looks a heck of a lot worse than it probably did decades ago before I was alive. At least my parents and grandparents tell me so. And I know many Americans feel that same way. What the president envisions for this country is for the United States of America to be a manufacturing superpower, where there are American factories and businesses owned by Americans, producing goods that we are exporting to the rest of the world. Those revenues will stay here. It will increase wages for people here in our great country. It will ensure our national security, and it will boost the morale of the American people to have thriving industries again. Think about Detroit, Michigan. Think about North Carolina, as I mentioned, that used to have a thriving furniture industry that no longer exists because of the globalist trade policies of previous and past administrations. And the American people gave the president a tremendous opportunity to restore American greatness and restore our manufacturing dominance, and he's intent on doing just that. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions for you. First, on the CR, you put up on the screen the president's message to Republicans to support this continuing resolution. Is there outreach to Democrats? Because what we've seen since the beginning of the fiscal year is that in order to get a continuing resolution, you need bipartisan support and you need compromise.
Well, right now, we are focused on House Republicans and on the House, because that's the first step, as you know, John. And so the president has engaged in correspondence with House Republicans, whipping votes and getting them to a yes, which I understand has been pretty successful this morning thus far. And so, again, the president is encouraging Republicans especially, but again, as I said, all members of Congress to vote to continue funding this government so we can continue the business of the American people, which elected President Trump to do.
And then on financial markets, we've seen this decline yesterday. We see it today as well. It seems that the read on the president's policies is one in which they do not have confidence in his trade tariffs policy. They do not have confidence in what the president said to Fox News over the weekend, that he didn't rule out the idea of a recession. What is your read in terms of the decline that we've seen over the last week and a half in financial markets?
Well, I think there's actually a lot of reason to be confident, and many people do feel confident. Just look at the nearly $2 trillion in private investment that this president has secured. Look at the comments made by the CEO of Apple, one of the biggest companies in this world, who said that he is bullish on the future of American innovation under the leadership of President Trump. Look at CEO confidence. According to the Conference Board measure of CEO confidence, in Q1 2025, under the leadership of this president, it jumped to its highest level in 3 years, from cautious optimism to confident optimism. If you, again, look at the $2 trillion in investments from some of the biggest companies in the world, look at the jobs report last Friday, as I also cited in my opening remarks. Fox Business reported that Trump sees a manufacturing boom in first full jobs report of his second term. Look at the auto jobs that have already poured back into America. We added 9,000 new auto jobs. Those are sticky jobs. Those are good paying jobs. That's 9,000 American families who will now be able to live the American dream because of the policies of this administration. You also look at small business optimism. The NFIB put out a report this morning. Small business optimism continues to be far higher than it ever was under the previous administration. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic. And again, the American people, CEOs and people on Wall Street and on Main Street should bet on this president. He is a deal maker, he is a businessman, and he's doing what's right for our country. He wants to restore wealth to the United States of America. Michael, good to see you.
Hey, Carolyn, thank you. Two questions, if I may. Will the administration be providing any relief to states affected by the Ontario power tariff?
Well, the president has made it very clear that Canada would be very wise not to shut off electricity for the American people. And we hope that that does not happen. As for what would happen if that does take place, I'll leave it to the president to make those decisions.
Does President Trump share the Justice Department's concern over rising egg prices and possible collusion of big egg?
Well, we definitely do share the concerns of the American people when it comes to the price of eggs. However, good news, the average cost of a dozen eggs is actually down since Secretary Rollins and President Trump announced their plan. It's down $1.85. So that's good news on the cost of eggs. And as we know, under the Biden administration, egg prices went up 22%. This is another example of an economic mess that President Trump inherited, and the Secretary of Agriculture and the President are focused on fixing it. Secretary Rollins put out a 4-point plan to address this crisis, and she has been honest and realistic with the American people, as this administration always is. It will take about 3 to 6 months to get the egg supply back to where it should be, but she's focused, and this administration is focused on doing that every day. Karen.
Thanks, Caroline. Just back on the markets, you said that what we're seeing this week right now on Wall Street is a snapshot of a moment in time. But does the president think he bears any responsibility for the turmoil in the stock market this week?
Look, the president is unwavering in his commitment to restore American manufacturing and global dominance, and I think he doubled down on that this morning with his new statement and the tariffs that will be implemented tomorrow on steel and aluminum.
And he has said recently he's not looking at the market. He said you can't really watch the stock market, but all of the gains since Election Day have been erased in the S&P 500. At what point, how far do stocks have to fall before the president considers it a factor and changes course?
Again, as I just said, the president will look out for Wall Street and for Main Street, just like he did in his first term. And people on Wall Street and Main Street should bet on this president. He's doing what's right for this country. Nick, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Caroline. So is the president prepared, like what we saw with Congressman Massey, to pressure other Republican lawmakers into supporting this continuing resolution?
Well, he is very much, as I said, engaged in this process. He's been making calls to lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and I think his statements against Congressman Massey speak for themselves, and I will let the president put out any additional statements if he chooses to, but he fully expects all House Republicans to vote for this continuing resolution.
And just to follow up, can we start to anticipate seeing more of the president weighing in on upcoming 2026 races like we saw this morning?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to speak about that from this podium. I would check in with our outside political team for guidance on future races and the president's involvement. Elena.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about some comments Elon Musk made yesterday. He said that there is $500 to $700 billion in waste and fraud and entitlement spending. He called it, quote, the big one to eliminate. Earlier this month, he also referred to Social Security as a Ponzi scheme. Should Americans expect changes, big changes, to Social Security and Medicare?
President Trump has been unequivocally clear on this. He is going to protect Social Security and Medicare benefits and Medicaid for hardworking Americans who paid into these entitlement programs and deserve those hard-earned benefits. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has taken Mr. Musk out of context. I saw a Bloomberg headline that our team actually worked on getting updated and fixed because it was so wrong, and it took Mr. Musk out of context. What he was specifically referring to cutting was the waste and the fraud and abuse that does exist in these programs. According to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there's more than $70 billion of fraud in the Social Security program alone that we know of. And so the president will continue to protect these programs for hardworking Americans, and actually cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse out of these programs will protect it for hardworking Americans.
But Caroline, respectfully, he said around $500 to $700 billion. There was no evidence to claim that, and also if that is the case, that would represent more than a third of what Social Security paid out last year, maybe 20% of Social Security and Medicare.
Again, if you read his full quote, he said, we think, so it's an estimate based on what he's seen. He's not saying definitively, he's saying that's what DOJ suspects and thinks. And that's exactly why DOJ was created, to ensure that we are investigating the fraudulent spending, the wasteful abuse across our federal government. And I would remind everybody in this room that 77% of the American people support this effort by Elon Musk and DOJ to identify such waste, fraud, and abuse.
Caroline.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
You're welcome.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs.
Not
and
true.
I'm curious
He's not doing
why
that.
he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people, and the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go ahead.
Caroline, I have two if that's okay. The first one was on Russia, Ukraine. I know Special Envoy Witkoff said yesterday that Zelensky apologized in his letter to Trump. Can you share any more about that letter and what else might be interesting from it that we don't know?
Yes, the president did reference that letter, as you're saying, in his joint address to Congress. And I do have an update. As you know, Secretary of State Rubio and our National Security Advisor Mike Waltz have been negotiating with the Ukrainians today in Saudi. They will be providing a full readout of that meeting very soon. But I can assure you and everybody here and the American people that the news we've received from that meeting throughout the day and the president has been briefed on is positive. This meeting has been productive. I will let Secretary of State Rubio and our National Security Advisor speak to the specifics of what has taken place today when they are ready to do so when the meeting concludes. Lindsay, go ahead.
The president has said this is the first of many arrests like this. Does the administration have a rough estimate of how many arrests you're planning to make similar?
I don't have an estimate. I do know that DHS, based on very good intel that they have gathered at the direction of the president's executive order, which made it very clear to the Department of Homeland Security that engaging, as I said, in anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas protests will not be tolerated. So since the president signed that executive order and since Secretary of Known has taken the oath at DHS, they have been using intelligence to identify individuals on our nation's colleges and universities, on our college campuses, who have engaged in such behavior and activity, and especially illegal activity. And so I don't have a readout on how many arrests will come, but I do know that DHS is actively working on it. And I also know that Columbia University has been given the names of other individuals who have engaged in pro-Hamas activity, and they are refusing to help DHS identify those individuals on campus. And as the president said very strongly in his statement yesterday, he is not going to tolerate that. And we expect all America's colleges and universities to comply with this administration's policy. Jasmine.
On Canada, after all of these threats to increase tariffs or turn off electricity, I wonder, does this administration still consider Canada to be a close ally of the United States?
Well, I think Canada is a neighbor. They are a partner. They have always been an ally. Perhaps they are becoming a competitor now. But as the president also laid out in his Truth Social post today, he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. And I actually looked into some of the research about the cost of living in Canada, and the cost of living is much higher than it is here in the United States of America. The average cost of a home in Canada is much higher. In Quebec, the highest tax rate for an income of $150,000 or more is 53.3%, more than half of Canadians' incomes they are being taxed on. So the president has made it clear that he believes Canadians would be better served economically, militarily, if they were to become the 51st state of the United States of America. Reagan.
Thank you, Caroline. A week ago, Attorney General Bondi said a truckload of Epstein files had been delivered to her office from the SDNY. When can we expect those files to be released to the public?
I would defer you to the Department of Justice. I don't have a timeline here.
Do you have any update on the JFK files?
I don't at this moment. Again, I would defer you to our DNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, and also the Department of Justice. I know that they are working on that diligently, as the president requested them to do. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions, since we've been talking a lot about tariffs. Have there been any updates on standing up the External Revenue Service to collect revenue from that?
Well, we need reciprocal tariffs to go into effect first, and as you know, the president will be rolling those out on April 2nd, and then the next start of that process is collecting that revenue to ultimately create the External Revenue Service, which Secretary Lutnick is working very hard on and is quite enthusiastic about, if you have noticed from his media interviews.
Can the president do that through executive action, or will it require legislation?
Well, the president already signed an executive order to direct the Secretary of Commerce to establish the External Revenue Service, or at least to identify ways in which which it can be done. I would defer you to the Department of Commerce for more on specifics on that. Sure, in the back.
Thank you very much, Carolina. I have a few questions on South Korea and North Korea. First question, as you know, South Korean President Yoon has been released from illegal detention. What is the reaction of the United States as an ally? Is there a possibility of a summit with President Trump when President Yoon returns? Second question on North Korea. North Korea launched the several ballistic missiles into the West Coast yesterday. What is the White House's reaction on this?
Sure. Yes, I'll start with your question on North Korea. We condemn these actions and we call on North Korea to stop their unlawful and destabilizing actions. As for South Korea, the U.S. and Republic of Korea's alliance is ironclad, and the Trump administration remains in close contact with our South Korean counterparts as we work together to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. Sure.
Question you didn't answer that release of South Korean president from jail.
I don't have anything on that, but I can certainly check in with the National Security Council and get back to you. Sure, good to see you.
Press Secretary, many are concerned about the validity of President Biden's official actions and also his pardons of the possible criminal actions of individuals such as his family members and Liz Cheney, as information is emerging that many of his official actions were auto-signed, possibly even the pardons, and without his knowledge or consent. Does the White House have any information available currently that Biden was actually the one that approved and signed those pardons? And second question, will the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy and pardons without his knowing approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question and get back to you. Dasha, go ahead.
You did a great job articulating the vision that President Trump has for what he believes his tariffs can do in terms of bringing jobs back to the United States. I asked you last week about how much Americans might need to buckle up for some short-term pain, a conversation that with the President and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent have had with the people. I'm wondering, how high is the pain threshold for President Trump and for this White House as you watch some of the turbulence in the stock markets, as you field concerns from businesses and potentially see some of those approval ratings drop in the short term? How much is he willing to stomach that, and will he stay committed to his vision for tariffs even as all of this comes up?
Well, the president has been working hard every single day to alleviate the pain that was inflicted by the previous administration through massive deregulation, through drill baby drill, as we like to call it, unleashing the might of our energy industry, which we know will ultimately drive down costs for consumers here at home. And again, as I mentioned, the president is intent on signing tax cuts for the American people to put more money back into their pockets, which will ultimately unlock consumer confidence. And again, I'll reiterate the president's words in layman's terms as he does best. The president wants the American people to have so much more money in their pockets, they don't know what to do with it. That's the goal of this administration, through tariffs, through tax cuts, through deregulation, and through unleashing the potential of our energy industry. I have two more quick notes before I wrap up. April 28th, I can confirm that the Philadelphia Eagles will be here at the White House to celebrate their Super Bowl victory. I know there was a lot of fake news about an invitation that wasn't sent or was sent. We want to correct the record. We sent an invitation. They enthusiastically accepted, and you will see them here on April 28th. And lastly, on a sad note, I would like to express our condolences to Fox News and to the entire Fox family who did lose a cameraman, Craig Savage, who passed away at 61 years old recently. A very tragic death, an individual who was a great man and covered this building for many, many years. So the entire press office, the communications office here wants to express our condolences with his family and also with Fox News. And I'll see you guys later. Perhaps you'll see the president in a Tesla later this afternoon. Have a good one.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for blessing me by hitting the thumbs up on this and going to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, and supporting me there and blessing me as well. I'm going live right now in 5 minutes on LFA TV, so please come join me. I've actually put the link. I put the link below so you can watch it there. and on LFA TV, or you can just go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, on the front page and scroll down a little bit and click on Culture Wars. I'll be live on there now in 4 minutes. So I'll see you over there, everybody. God bless. Take care.